So here we are taking a look at the third semester of your master's degree, which should be a fall semester if you're doing things in sort of a traditional order. Now, because this is the third semester, you are still involved with coursework. This will be the last semester of courses that you take in regards to your master's degree. So that's why I have them shaded in red here. So all during the semester you're going to be taking courses, but you still need to be working on your thesis. So let's take a look at what I've got for you. Remember, working backwards from the fourth semester. I do want to be sure that you present at a regional conference during this semester. Now, sometimes, depending on the timing of the regional conference, this could be in weeks 13 through 16. It could be in weeks 9 through 12. But someplace in there, there's going to be a regional conference that you can go to. And I highly recommend that you do, because this is going to be practice. Remember that you're going to be presenting your thesis research at a national conference in the next semester. Well, I want you to have an opportunity to warm up. I want you to have an opportunity to go to a regional conference, meet everyone who is in your sort of local area, but also be able to do a dry run of your presentation of your research at a regional conference. So find out when your regional conference is. In geography and GIS, they're generally in the fall, but they're all on different weeks, because that way you can go to multiple regional conferences if you want to. And also the officers and administration of the entire national organization can attend all of the regional conferences, so they're all on different weeks. Make sure that you find out when your conference is, and then put that on your calendar to make sure that you are presenting there. So you're going to be presenting at a regional conference someplace in here. Yes, I know that coursework is still going on. Most of the time these are during the weekends, but you'll probably have to be gone during a Friday. But if you talk to your professors and say, look, I'm trying to go to this conference, I'm presenting, they will understand that, and chances are they will understand your absence from your class on that day if you're going to present your thesis research someplace. So find out when that is and talk to your professors about potentially being gone. This here is your second submission of your thesis to your committee chair. Now, what is this? This is crazy to some people, because I'm talking about having a copy of your thesis that you are submitting to your thesis chair, also your advisor, someplace around week 14 of the third semester of your master's program. Because remember, you're going to have to give them basically a final submission right after the fourth semester starts. So you want to send them this second submission right here so that they can read it, they can check it out. There'll be a break after week 16. That's when everybody is gone for the winter break, Christmas break. And so there's a lot of time in there, and that's an excellent opportunity for you to take all of the information that your committee chair and your advisor has given you based on this second submission of your thesis to, have a lot of time over the break to work on it, so that when the fourth semester rolls around, you are ready to give them basically a final version of your thesis as soon as that starts. Because you do not want your advisor and your committee chair to have seen your thesis for the first time, 1 week into the final semester of your program. You want them to have seen it here and been giving you feedback. And I even have a first submission to a thesis committee chair or your advisor right up here around week 11 of this third semester. So you submit it to them, that you get a lot of feedback, you revise it, you submit it to them again, and you say, great, now I'll be gone over the winter break, and I will bring it back to you then. It's very important. Actually, some of the best techniques that advisors use is often to have a weekly meeting with their graduate students. So, I did this during my master's program, and it was very beneficial. We always met. All of the students who were being advised by my advisor, we all met together on Fridays at a certain time to talk about everything that we need to talk about, make sure everybody was moving forward with their thesis, make sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing as far as turning in information or materials for regional conferences, for national conferences. We were writing academic articles at that time. So you want to develop that very regular relationship with your advisor. And if you have that, then meeting these deadlines of a first submission of your thesis and a second submission of your thesis, those become much easier because they're kind of in your routine. You're meeting every week and everybody knows exactly what's expected of everybody and everything is going forward. Down here, this is very important. This is the second month of your third semester. You need to start submitting materials for the national conference. So now remember that we're talking about submitting or presenting at the national conference next semester. But you can't just be 2 weeks out from a conference and say, oh, I'm thinking about presenting there, let me submit my materials. You have to submit materials for something like that very, very early, because they have to put together the program, they have to organize the whole thing, they need to know who's coming and who is presenting what. And so I remember, at least with the AAG, that it was basically in October that you needed to present all or submit all of your materials for what you were going to be presenting next semester. So everybody went through that in about October. So that's roughly in here. Find out the exact date of the submissions, look that up and put that on your calendar. But week 7, week 8, someplace in there, that's a believable time for when you have to have a deadline for all of your materials to submit. And again, there you go. If you're going to be presenting your thesis research at a national conference next semester, during semester 4, you need to have your thesis far enough advanced by the second month of the third semester here to be able to submit materials to that regional conference to say that you're coming. Now, different conferences will have different requirements for what you have to submit. Sometimes you just need to submit an abstract. Sometimes you have to submit an entire paper. Sometimes you have to submit an 8-page abbreviated paper. Sometimes they'll be going through peer review. Sometimes they won't. It all just depends on what kind of national conference that you're going to. So you also need to find out exactly what they need so that you can be ready when that deadline comes around. Because this is very early. Think about that. If you're planning on presenting your master's thesis at a national conference in your final semester, you really have to know a lot about what you're going to be doing in order to submit all of that materials during the second semester or the second month of your third semester. That if you haven't thought about your thesis at this point, then obviously you're not going to be able to present. That's going to hurt you in the long run, especially if you're planning on getting a Ph.D. So you have to be ready a lot earlier than you think you do. Also up here, this is submit applications for your Ph.D. And this also seems very, very early, but it's completely true. That during the third semester of your master's degree, that's when all of your applications for your Ph.D. have to go in. If you're planning on starting a Ph.D. basically a year from when you're starting right here, what semester we're on right here, you have to start submitting all of your applications for your Ph.D. now. And you have to do that early. Different deadlines, different schools will have different deadlines, different universities will have different deadlines. But really, when you start the third semester of your master's degree, if you're planning on getting a Ph.D., you need to start researching all the different institutions you might like to go and get a Ph.D. at, and then find out what their deadlines are for all of their application materials. Put that on your calendar and start working on it, because that's really something that you need to start doing as soon as you start semester 3 if you want to do a Ph.D. I know that basically all of the universities are going to want to have you have all of your application materials submitted before the winter break. So before the end of this semester 3. And some of them will want it even earlier. Universities have started requiring application materials earlier and earlier and earlier. So you can't decide, once you finally have graduated with your master's degree, what am I going to go do with myself? I think I'll go do my PhD. You can't do that because all of the applications for the next semester have already been in, and especially for all of those who are interested in getting funding. If you want to have your degree funded, universities are going to be assigning funding for the PhD students before Christmas, before that winter break. A lot of committees will meet, and everybody likes to have their offers out, sending out letters offering positions for PhD students before the winter break. So this is very, very early, and you're like, I haven't even done my master's thesis yet. And probably you haven't. You haven't defended it yet. But you have to be able to get all of your materials together and be far enough along and know people and be talking to people who you might like to work with far beyond here. Because now a regional conference, you may be leaving the region to go get your PhD. But if you're not leaving the region to get your PhD, then you want to go and meet with people, potential advisors, find out at these regional conferences. And if not there, if they're not going to be there, they're certainly going to be at the national conferences. And you want to go and even in your application materials, say that you're going to be presenting at such and such conference or such and such conferences. Tell them what conferences you're going to be at, and say that you would, so that if they would like to come and see you, if they would like to come and see your research, they know exactly where you will be to go and see you in person. And likewise, you need to be looking up people at that university and be going to see their presentations and seeing what they do and seeing if they are, in fact, the kind of people you would like to work with. But my point is, this is early. It will feel like you just started your master's degree in a way, because it is only a 2-year program. You did your first year of your master's program, you did coursework, and then you come back after summer for your second year of your master's program, your third year, and it's basically immediately time to start thinking about applying for a Ph.D. if you're going to be doing that. Up here, I also have submit materials to a regional conference, because the regional conferences won't require you to submit material as far in advance as the national conferences, but it's still very much in advance. So if there's a regional conference like in month 4, like I have down here, you're probably going to have to submit materials to present there during the first month of the semester. It is very quick turnaround. You start the semester, look up those regional conferences, find out their deadlines. They're probably only going to be in a few weeks. Get your material together. And here again, it's one of those things. If you're going to be submitting your thesis research, well, and presenting on your thesis research as you should, you have to know enough to be able to fill out all of the application materials about your thesis research basically as soon as you start semester 3. This is why I say that a master's degree is a very intensive program, because on top of all of this, you're doing coursework. You are still in the middle of all of your coursework, or you're wrapping up your coursework, really, but you are still taking a whole semester load of courses this semester on top of all of this that you're needing to do to get ready for all these conferences, going to conferences, and getting your thesis, the first drafts of your thesis, first couple drafts of your thesis, to your advisor and committee chair. It is a major push here in semester 3, and I hope that you do it. If you do that and you already have it, then you're going to be set up very well for semester 4. If you have not submitted any material for conferences, then obviously you're not going to go. You're not going to be able to submit there, and if you haven't even started your thesis research and writing your thesis, then by the time you come around to semester 4, you're not going to get it done for the reasons we described in the previous video. So really, it is pedal to the metal as soon as semester 3 of your master's program starts. We'll go back one more semester, talk about the summer, and then also master's degree semester 2 in the next video.